All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our EndNote 2025 workshop. This is part of the Work Smart FIU Libraries Workshop series. We host these every semester. So I've put some links in the chat to the Work Smart Library workshops. There you can sign up for any that are upcoming. There's another citation management software called Zotero that they'll be presenting on next week or so, and there's some other topics as well. If you missed any, you can also access the recordings on that website too. So my name is Daisy de la Rosa, and I'm an Information and Instruction Services librarian at our medical library here. We're part of the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine. And today I'm joined by my colleague, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Francis Marsili, and I am a learning and research librarian here at the Green Library.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ramses. All right, so here is an overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what EndNote is and why you should use it if you're doing research. The focus today is on the desktop version, the software that you actually install into your computer, although we will mention the EndNote Online here and there. Then we'll cover how to get EndNote, how to create a library, how to sync your library to an EndNote Online account, as that is needed for several reasons, and we'll learn why that is. And then how to build your library, right? How to add your references so that you can store them there. If you want to attach PDFs or any other types of files to your library. And then how to stay organized. EndNote has the ability to create groups or folders and also has tags to organize your references. And then we'll talk about how to use EndNote to format your references in a particular citation style. And then the fun part, right? Once you have gathered all your references and you're working on a project, on a document, a manuscript, how you insert and format those references automatically, whether it's in Word, and now with the new, EndNote 21 and EndNote 2025, now in Word Online and Google Docs. And then we'll briefly talk about sharing a library or a group of references if you want to collaborate with colleagues. And then, of course, resources for where to learn more and how to get help. So before we get started, we're just going to launch a quick Zoom poll just to see what everybody's experience is with using citation managers. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. Okay. And hopefully everybody can see it, but it's 4 questions asking you how familiar you are with today's topic. What's your experience using citation managers if you've ever used one before? If you've used them, which ones have you used? And what citation style do you use? All right. Okay, we'll leave it open for about 20 more seconds. We have almost everyone participating, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results. And hopefully you can see that it seems like either we have newbies or novice, right? Kind of learning the ropes, have some people who are comfortable, which is good. It looks like the majority have used a citation manager, so that is amazing. Even if you don't end up using EndNote, use a citation manager for sure. And if you've never used one, hopefully this encourages you to explore that. You're here, which is great. And then we have people who've used EndNote, haven't really used the other tools, and then an other. So if you want to put in the chat the other that you've used. And then everyone indicated APA. Okay, cool. So that's good for us to know. All right, thank you so much for participating and telling us about your uses of citation managers. Okay, great. All right. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ramses, and we're going to get a nice little overview of EndNote and what it is.
Okay. Let me share, or did you want to? Oh.
I can share if you want.
Wait, no, it was just asking me if I wanted multiple presenters to share. It's fine. I can
Okay.
take it from here. Okay, so what is EndNote? EndNote is a citation reference management software that sort of lives inside your computer, and it syncs with the cloud. So it's a great tool to collect, edit, store, organize, and share all your references. Um, it can also store PDFs and other documents attached to corresponding references. So dynamic citation generator. It has thousands of citation styles available. Automatically installs formatted in-text citations and reference list, and it integrates pretty seamlessly into your Microsoft Word Online, and Google Docs. Now, we're going to look into how it does that a little bit later. So, sorry. So why use EndNotes? We recommend using EndNotes or any other citation managers for several reasons. Most importantly, it will save you a lot of time. It helps you stay organized with all your references, in one place. It comes with a lot of storage, so you can store an almost unlimited amount of citations. It synchronizes itself across multiple devices. You can format your references in any citation style with the click of a button. You're allowed to insert references directly from EndNote libraries into a document. You can collaborate with other people. So other citations managers do have these features, but with EndNote, you also get customer support from Clarivate. You also get retraction. If an article gets retracted at some point, then EndNote will point that out to you in case you want to take it out of being one of your sources. The new EndNote 25 does has like AI key takeaways from uploaded PDFs, so it'll actually, AI will actually read through the PDF and give you the key takeaways. And um, what is it? What was the last thing? I forget. What is it? Oh yeah, you could collaborate with others. Sorry, using the the same references. We done? Okay, so a little bit about Cite While You Write. We're going to go into more detail later on, but I just kind of wanted to show you just how this works, just to give you a little taste. So, for example, I have two great sentences here. I can just select where I want to use my citation. I can just click on Insert Citation, do a search, either a keyword or author by wow, that went by really fast. And then it will automatically include your citation there.
I think it's because you
Okay.
clicked on the screen, so it stopped the recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could just go back.
That's okay. Well, I'm gonna go into it, slower and so you have a little more time. So now as with any other citation manager, it does take a little time to learn how to use effectively, and you must know citation style enough to know when a citation is incorrect. So citation managers, remember, will not fix mistakes in your reference. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Daisy.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ramses. So yeah, we do have an EndNote guide. It's based in the FIU Medical Library, but it does have instructions no matter what college you're affiliated with. They're all, it's all the same. So in that guide and the link, we've put it in the chat. It's also going to be on these slides that we'll try to get out to you all as well. The guide tells you and walks you through how to download and install EndNote, how to set it up, add references, edit, organize. So all the things we're covering in today's workshop, they're going to be here. we do have to update it with the EndNote 2025 update. So that is upcoming. So how to get EndNote, and again, this is going to be on that guide under download and install. EndNote is a free software for FIU students, faculty, and staff. When or if you leave the university, you will still retain access to your EndNote library. You just won't be able to update to a newer version. And eventually you might lose access to the EndNote Online version of EndNote, the newer one. We'll talk about that in a second. But while you're at FIU, you can get EndNote for free. Here are the steps, but it's basically going to the Panther Tech website, logging with your FIU login, searching for EndNote, selecting whether you have a PC or a Mac, adding it to your cart. It will be $0. And then they will send you the installation files with the product key to get EndNote onto your device, and you can install it in multiple devices. So a couple of important things when you're installing EndNote first, really important, make sure to close or quit all your Microsoft Office programs before you install. This is so that, Ramses had briefly showed that in Word, there's that EndNote toolbar. And if you have any of your Office programs open, it may not install properly. So, and then we would have to troubleshoot that. So make sure all of that is closed before you install. And if you are installing it on an FIU device, you may have to contact the IT department to allow permissions to install this new software. So it depends on the permissions of your department. I know for me personally, when I had to update to EndNote 2025, I had to get IT involved to help me on my FIU computer. So this is just a screenshot of that email that you'll get from Panther Tech with the installer and then also the product key. So once you install EndNote onto your computer, you'll have to create a library. The library is your personal collection of references. And again, the steps for this are on the EndNote guide under Setup EndNote and Create a Library. You do have the option to create multiple libraries in EndNote, but we do recommend to only have one, just because if you're working on a Word document, and you're inserting from EndNote and you have multiple libraries open and you're inserting from different libraries, it could corrupt the document. So, usually the recommendation is to have one library and then you have groups for all your different projects. Another important note here is that when you create an EndNote library, and you can see here on the bottom screen, it's going to prompt you to save somewhere. Make sure you save on your hard drive. So do not save on any cloud storage. So that's iCloud or OneDrive or Dropbox, any network drives or USB, just because it can corrupt the file over time. And then you can lose the data in your EndNote library. So again, try to keep that on your hard drive. When you first install EndNote on a PC, you may be prompted to create a new library. So you'll see a message like this. But if not, here are the instructions if you have a PC. If you have a Mac, it's going to look a little bit different. Just because Macs, it's a little bit different. So just pay attention to those differences if you have a Mac. And then the other important thing to know is that every time you create an EndNote library, you're automatically creating two files, okay? A .enl file, which is your EndNote library, and then a data folder, which is holds the data from that library. So these two folders or files, have to always stay together in the same directory or subdirectory on your computer, and they always have to have the same file name. If you change the file name in one, you have to change it in the other. If you move one, you've got to move them together. If not, again, you will lose the data in your library or may not even open. And then once you create a library in EndNote, you want to make sure that you sync that library to an EndNote Online or web account. So the creating an EndNote Online or web account is a separate step, but you want to do it because it's going to save your library to the cloud. That way, if something happens to your computer and you reinstall EndNote, you can sync from what's saved in the cloud, and it will automatically populate all the references you've saved. It will help you sync across multiple devices. So if you have a desktop at work and you have your laptop at home, with that online account, you're able to access the references from either one. The Cite While You Write feature that allows you to insert citations on Word Online and Google Docs, works with your EndNote Online account. And of course, you need the EndNote Online account to collaborate with other people. So the steps are here on how to create an account for PCs as well as for Macs. Again, the menu options might differ between the two. And then EndNote Online, although today we're not really focusing on it, we're going to mention it here and there. Currently, there are two versions of EndNote Online Web. Okay, so that can be a little bit confusing, and it's definitely a con for EndNote a little bit. They have the EndNote Online Classic. So this is what you want to use if you want to share a group of references. And this applies to all EndNote versions. And then the EndNote Web, which is newer, this is only available for EndNote 21 and EndNote 2025 users. So the university currently, if you don't have EndNote yet, or if you have an older version of EndNote, you can reach out to PantherTech and they can update you to 2025. So you might, if you are sharing with somebody, you'll need to use the classic. If you just want to, access your stuff on the web, EndNote Web, you could use the newer one. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself because that can be a little bit confusing. All right, so before we start or get into the live part of the demo, I just wanted to briefly kind of give you the lay of the land of EndNote. And it does seem like some of us have used EndNote already. So that's good. That means you're already familiar with this. So across the top, you have your menu or your toolbar. This is where you're going to find all of your settings and some of the tools that you're going to be using. On the left-hand side, that first column is your groups panel. So this is where you're going to see any groups or folders that you have created. You'll be able to access groups that other people have shared with you. You can see all your references. In the middle column is your reference list panel. So this allows you to search for any references that you have. There's also some shortcuts to some of the tools or features within EndNote. And then down here, you'll see all the references in your library or whatever group you have selected on the left-hand side. This is a dynamic window where you can change the sort order. You can add different columns. You can make it look however you decide. And then on the right-hand side, you have the summary panel, which is going to give you, as it says, a summary of the reference that you have selected. You'll be able to edit up here or view the PDF. So those are important there. And then the preview subpanel is going to give you a preview of what that citation will look like in the citation style you have selected here. So I have APA 7th, which everyone on the call is using APA. But here you can switch it to another style if you want to see what it looks like. If you're on a Mac, sometimes this little window is a little hidden, so you have to kind of hold your mouse down and then just drag it up. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so now we're going to move into the live portion of the workshop. So these are the things we're going to show live: creating an EndNote library, adding references, using direct export and manual entry, which there are many different ways to add stuff into EndNote, but these are the big two. Creating and using groups or folders or tags, adding PDFs and other files to references, removing duplicates, searching your EndNote library, editing references, and then using EndNote in Word, Word Online, and Google Docs, and just briefly how to share a group of references with a colleague. And again, if you have any questions or anything is confusing, or if you want us to show something again, please feel free to unmute yourself or let us know in the chat. Okay, so let me jump out of here. Okay, and here's that Work Smart Library Workshops page where you'll see all of the workshops that are upcoming, by the way, and the recordings there. And then here's that EndNote guide. Again, the link is in the chat. All right, so the first thing that we're going to cover is direct export. Direct export is probably the most common way to get something into your EndNote library. It works with most databases that the library subscribes to, with the catalog. Even if you find like a journal article on the journal's website, and it usually involves downloading a file type like RIS, ENW, NBIB for PubMed if you're a health sciences person. So those are the file types that EndNote understands. And basically it's going to put them in your downloads folder. And when you install EndNote on your computer, it will by default open those file types in EndNote. For Mac users, you may have to set that up in advance. You may have to also just drag and drop from the downloads folder into EndNote. So Mac may have some different considerations there. So okay. So let's start with, I'm going to start with one of our databases here. It's a nursing and allied health database. It's an EBSCO. So even if you're not a health science person, we have other databases that are hosted by the EBSCO platform. So here, if you do use a database that's hosted by EBSCO, I'm going to show you what this looks like in this particular one, and then I'll move to another platform. And again, it's going to be the same process, just a little bit different with all of them. Before I do that, though, I do want to create a new library just so that you can see that live. I do have a demo library here, right? And we kind of walked through the navigation here already. We did the groups and the folders, so I'll show you that a little bit later. But I did want to show you how to create a new library. So to do that, you would go up to File, and I'm on a PC, by the way, so it might look a little bit different on a Mac. And we're going to go to New. And again, just make sure that it's being saved onto your hard drive. And now I'm saving 2 files, by the way. Okay, and here is my blank library that I just created, right? So how can we go from here, from a blank library, to a, more filled out library like this one? So that's what we're going to build. We're going to build a library. So we're going to go back to our EBSCO database, right? We're doing CINAHL here. And the topic I'm going to do is graduate students, right? And stress, just a basic search. Okay, so then here are a couple of ways you can do this. You can select multiple references at one time as you're going through the search results that you want to save. Or if you're, let's say you select this to kind of read the abstract and figure out if you want to save this one, you can do that too. And it's basically the same process. You're going to locate this little cite button here at the top and then select export citation, right? From here, the best option is going to be, even though it says EndNote Web, this is going to take you to the EndNote Online account. For the desktop version, you want to do export in RIS format, and you can see that supports a lot of different citation style tools or citation management tools. So here, export in RIS, and then now it's going to take it to a downloads folder. Once I open that, it's going to send it to the library that you have open. So that's why you don't want to have multiple libraries, because I have 3 open right now. So if I want to send it to my blank library, let's try that again. Go to my downloads. And then it'll go where I want it. So that's why we say to have just one, because it can get very dicey having multiple libraries. So that is an EBSCO. Again, you would do the exact same thing. If you're going through the search results, you can select a few of them, right? And then you would go ahead and click on that little cite button up here. And it would be the exact same process, and then export to RIS format. You would download, and then that would get the references in here. Right, so now we have 4 references in our blank one was once a blank library. And there are options here, like if you're doing a really big project, you're able to export like up to, what is it? I think it's about, let's see here, export up to 25,000. You do need an EBSCO account to do this, but there are ways to export in bulk if you needed it. So that's an EBSCO. The next one I wanted to show was a ProQuest database. So I'm going to show PsycInfo, but again, the FIU Libraries has several databases that live in the ProQuest platform. But it's basically the same process, right? So you do your search. And then thankfully, they also have a little quotation mark as their cite option here. So again, if you select a few, you can do the same, or if you do one, you can do that. And it has it here embedded here as well. So once you click on cite, then you would select, you could either select EndNote or Zotero, Citavi, right, RIS format, whichever one of these will work. So we'll do EndNote. Right? We confirm what we want it to actually export. We hit continue, and then it'll be the same exact process. Right? It goes into your downloads folder, and then you can always clear your downloads folder later if you want to. Right? And then there is our citation. So ProQuest is going to be same thing. You can select all, click the little cite button. If you're searching something like PubMed, if you're health sciences, it's the same process, but different file type. So here, if we do our search, right? And then again, same thing, either you can select multiple, right? And then you're going to hit send to. So slightly different language there, and then citation manager. And then you're going to create that file. So you see here now this file is a .nbib, right? So it's a different file type. PubMed is the only one that doesn't have the RIS that has this nbib. And then we go into our library, and there are the three that I just brought in. Okay. And it's the same thing if you, let's say we did just one, right? Once you're on that page, look for the cite button. This one's a little bit more obvious. And then again, download NBib. Open from your downloads folder. And then now it's in there as well. I do want to mention that all we're pulling in right now are the references, right? Like the metadata or the information about the source, but not the actual source, right? Getting the PDF will be a second step. Okay. All right. So Google Scholar, similar process, right? So here they also have a cite button. You can do bulk export as well, but I believe you do need to sign into your Google account in order to save them and then be able to export them as a group. But if you want to export just one, you would hit that cite button here. And then you can select EndNote or RefMan. Either one of these should work. So we're going to select EndNote, right? ENW, different file type, but one that EndNote understands. And then we go back to our library, and there it is, right? All right. And then also the catalog at FIU has a direct export option as well. And this could be handy because when you're using EndNote or Citation Manager to insert your citations into a Word document, you want to make sure all of the references you're going to include in your paper are in your EndNote library. You can't just put the direct export stuff and then manually add in some of these other things like a print book or a YouTube video. Like you want to add everything to the EndNote library. So if you have like a print book or something where a direct export option doesn't seem obvious, you can look for it in the catalog and then get the citation from there. So let's say that I wanted to cite this particular book. I would add it to I want to add it to my EndNote library. So you select the book, and then there's this EndNote option, but this one takes you to the online. So you want to select export RIS, right? So again, it's that
Okay, seems like Daisy was disconnected. Let's please give her just a minute or two to try to get back on. If not, then I'll take it over.
Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, let me reshare. Okay, so here I was on the book. Let's see if it works. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so it was me. So it would be the same process. Okay, so there it is. It's coming from, so this is for a book. So it's not a journal article. It's not coming from a database. And actually, if you do find an ebook or something in any of the other databases, like not in the catalog, it should have a direct export option as well. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, and then if you do find, like, let's say you're doing a Google search and you found an article, a lot of the journal or publishers are going to have a cite option as well. So you want to look for things like that say cite or tools or anything like that. So this one actually lives all the way down here, and it has this option, download citation. And then again, it's an RIS file type. You open it, and then it's automatically opened in our library. So let me touch base with the audience for a moment. Is there a resource that you use a lot from the library that you want us to show how to direct export? We showed EBSCO, ProQuest, PubMed, Google Scholar, the catalog. Is there a database that you want us to show? And you could put in the chat if you like. Or did we show ones that you do use? Hopefully. All right. Okay, well, hopefully we did. So what I mentioned earlier was about, when you're working on a project, you want to make sure all your sources are in EndNote, not just the one that you can direct export. So for example, if you were citing something from a website, like in this case, the CDC, website, we want to cite this page about managing stress. How would we get this into EndNote? Okay, so that's when you would have to do a manual entry. So if we go back to our library here, you want to click on this little clipboard with the plus sign, and then this is going to open up a form, right? And it's the form for you to fill out, with the source information. So the first thing you have to do is select the type of source it is. The default is a journal article. This is what's going to tell the citation style you've chosen how to properly format that particular reference type or material. So because we're citing something from the CDC, it looks like it's not a government report. It looks like a web page. So I'm going to select web page, and then these fields are going to change. And then that's when I start to fill in the information, right? So if the author is an organization, I would put, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. If it's an organization, just a quick tip. You want to add, I believe it's a semicolon or a comma, but you want to add one of these, I can't remember which one, I think it's a semicolon, so that it doesn't format it like a person's name, so it knows that it's an organization. So that's just a little tip. So then you want to fill in as much information as you can. For websites, it's not going to be very robust, but then you would save, the citation. So here I'm just going to grab a little bit of information so I can save it. Right. And then we put here managing stress. We find the year that this was done, right? So 2025, and then we're going to hit save. Okay. And then we're going to close, and we should be able to find it here. So now there is our website source that we can then add into it. And then here we can see what the citation looks like. If we need to change anything, it looks pretty okay. Has the year, has the title, has the day that we retrieved it or access date, again, depending on the citation style. So that's manual entry. Again, the little plus sign here. You can also do references, new reference as well. You can ask now if you want. If you have a question, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much, Daisy. So I have a question about for example, that you give for the Center of Disease Control and Prevention.
Mhm.
What if in the writing, when I cite it, so it's gonna be like the full name and comma and like 2025. But what if I want it to be the API word, like CDCP, because otherwise it's gonna be too long in my writing. But in the full reference, like bibliography, I still want it to be the full name. How do
Mm-hmm.
we do, how do we organize a note to create the citation this way?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I think that trying to think if there's a way to do it like a blanket way to do it so that when you're I understand what you mean, like for the in-text citation, for it to say CDC, like a shortened
Yeah, because yeah,
right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When we go into Word later, there might be a way to do it. If not, I'll write that question down and see if there's like a quick way to edit all the in-text citations that have that to change it. Because if not, it might have to be like manually where you would have to edit the in-text citation every time you put it in. But I'll find out for sure. If there's like a quicker way to do it, you know?
Okay.
But that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just write that down so I don't forget. And then I'll have your email from the registration and I'll reach out.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. All right. So the next part of this is how we create groups or folders to stay organized. So here is my demo library. I have 39 references in it. And then you have the option to create these groups or folders to help you stay organized with your work. You also have the opportunity to create group sets, where you can create like a main folder or group and then create subgroups under each one. And that can further subdivide your work. So I have examples here of both like the asthma, diabetes, hypertension. These are like individual groups. And then this one here, this test group or diabetes group, for example, group set. Under it, then I created individual groups. So if I'm doing a big project on diabetes, let's say, and I have a couple of references about patient education, I have a couple of references about underserved populations, then I can go ahead and subdivide my work that way. You can also create, a group set for a paper that you're doing or for a certain course and then multiple assignments. So you can be very creative on how you want to do that. So to create a group, it's fairly simple. I'm going to go back to our empty, not empty, but growing EndNote library. And here, if you go to my groups and then right click, create group. And then here, if we put, stress, this is an individual group, right? And then if I want to add references in here, you can just easily drag and drop. You can select multiple references and then drag them in there. Um, Even if you put them in multiple groups, or let's say we get rid of the group, it doesn't delete the reference from the full library. You'll still have like all 12 in there. If you want to create a group set, right? If you want to like, let's say you're working on a project and you want to have like multiple groups, you could right click and then create group set. You would name this. So, my project. And then when you want to add a group, you would then select my project, create group, and now you have all these other subgroups below this, like let's say this was a dissertation, and you had like subgroups for each, chapter, right? Or section. And then you would have your references for each chapter there, something like that, right? So it's going to be up to you and your workflow, what's going to work best. And again, you can just drag and drop in there. The other option that you have is to create tags to organize your work. Um, So if we go here, let me show you one that already has some. So here the tags, there's up to, let's see. When you click on the little plus sign here, you'll see all the available tags here. And then you can name them what you want to name them. So here, for example, I've named anything that's tagged with a red tag means I've already read it. If it's yellow, I need the full text. Blue is need to read. So you can go ahead and you can tag multiple, like add multiple tags to one reference. If you want to see all the ones you need to read, you could select the blue tab, and then you'll see everything that's been tagged blue. So it's just another way to organize your work in addition to the groups, but they work very much the same as the groups, just it's a little bit more visual. When you pick a citation and you go to the summary tab, you'll see also what tags are there and what groups it's in, which is really nice. So that's groups and tags. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything else. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, when you want to add the full text to a reference, that's a second step, right? So if we go back to our workshop library here that we've been building, again, all we have right now is the reference information. If we go to the edit tab here up the top, you can see the information that we brought in from the database, but we don't have the actual full text or PDF of the article. So that's going to be a second step. There's a couple of ways to do this. First, you can go ahead and hit PDF and then attach PDF. Okay. And then here, it's going to open up your files on your computer, and then you would locate the PDF on your computer. So I've located that on my computer. It opened up on my other window here. And then it would just automatically attach here. I'm going to take this off for a second. And then you see the entire PDF. You have the option to open the PDF and highlight or annotate the PDF. You can add post-its, and then that will all save, you know. So if I wanted to like highlight this text, for example, up here at the very top, you have options to annotate this. You also have over here as well. So here you can add any comments, you can add a highlight, and then it will save onto the PDF forever. So, which is really great. So now that I see this popping up over here, one of the new things from EndNote 2025 is AI key takeaways. So for any PDF that you have in your EndNote library, it will generate the main 3 takeaways from the article, from the PDF. So that is a nice feature that they've added. If you don't see it, let me just save this here. Okay. So it's saving any changes I did. So once you select the reference, there's like this little magic little stars icon. So once you pick that, it's going to open the research assistant, and then that's when you can see those takeaways, which is really nice. So that's one way of getting PDFs in here. Let's say that you want to add in a folder of PDFs, or you can also drag and drop PDFs into your library. If it has a DOI, if it's machine readable, the EndNote will try to get the metadata for that. So I'm just going to show how to import. Let's say you have like a whole folder of PDFs and you don't want to have to add them individually. You can do that. So if we go to File, Import, right? And then I'm going to try to find that folder of PDFs that I want to add. And then select PDF. That should be it because it knows that that's what's in that file. And then import all. And depending how many you have in here, it might take a little bit long. I have 5, so it shouldn't take too long. And again, if it has a DOI, it's going to bring in the reference information for you, which is amazing. Right, so here are the 5, and they came all in with their own respective PDFs as well. So you can see that there. This little paper clip lets you know there's an attachment to that. Now, if you notice this one here, there's a PDF, but there's no reference information. So in this case, this is when you would have to go out into the world, go to your database or Google Scholar, look for the citation and get the information and plug it in yourself. in here. Yeah, or you can just direct export and then reattach the PDF to that particular reference. So you have a couple of options. The last thing I'll show about finding full text, EndNote will try to look out in the world for any full text that you ask it to look for. So for example, if I wanted it to try to find, I'm trying to pick a few here at the same time. So let's say that you want EndNote to try to help you find some of these instead of you having to find them all yourself. On the left-hand side here under Find Full Text, and again, this is on the guide, how to set this up. You're going to select the, excuse me, let me go back. Okay, sorry. You're going to select the references you want the full text for. Okay, and then here you can either right-click or you can click on this little Find Full Text feature here. So we're going to click on that. Once you set it up with the FIU stuff, it's going to ask you to authenticate with your FIU credentials. And then it's going to try to find the articles either through our collections or that are freely available online. So you would log in, you would hit continue, and then it will look for those articles. To save some time, I'm not going to demo it, but it doesn't always work that great. And just because EndNote didn't find it doesn't mean FIU doesn't have it. Okay, that just means that EndNote couldn't find it. So you have to go into the library's resources and look for it if it's a subscription journal article. Okay, so just a few more things before I turn it over to Ramses so that he can show using this in Word. One of the things I want to mention is that you don't want to have duplicates, right? So this is part of staying organized. Right now, as you can see, I have multiple duplicates in my library. And the reason that you don't want to have that is because when you're working in a Word document and you have two of the same reference, let's say I insert this one into my document, and then later on, because it's the same one, and I search Alan, for example, then I insert this one, EndNote doesn't know that that they're the same thing. They're going to treat it as separate, and then both citation or the reference is going to show up twice in your reference list. So it's not smart enough or intuitive enough to know that you're talking about the same reference. So you want to make sure you do some cleanup. If you go up to references here on the top, library, and then find duplicates here, it's going to search for any duplicates that you have. It's going to open up a screen like this one, and you can decide which reference you want to keep. And then you go through it, and then you kind of clean up your library, and then delete those duplicate references. So it doesn't merge them like other citation managers do. You have to kind of go through it and decide which one you want to keep. So that's one thing that's really important. You also have the option to search your EndNote library. If you select advanced search, you can search by author, by year, by title. The cool thing too is that you can search any notes that you have made in any of the PDFs that you've added. So if you added any like little post-it notes on the PDF, or even the PDF itself, if it's machine readable, you can search that too. So that's really cool. The last thing I'll mention is editing references before Ramses goes into Word. When you're bringing in references from the databases, they're not going to always be perfect, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If it comes in incorrect, the citation that you're going to generate might also be incorrect as well, which is the previews down here. Okay, so that's why it's really important to always check the reference to make any edits that you need to in EndNote before you use it in your paper or your manuscript. Okay, and you can edit the fields really easily. You can come in here. Let's say that the article came in and the title was on caps. You would have to come in here and make that edit. Let's say it was missing some information like the page numbers. Maybe you found the page numbers. Now you added it. So all of these fields are live and you can make those changes. When you're here, you can also easily change the citation style. Right now I have APA. If I want to change to Vancouver, I would change to Vancouver, and then you can see the citation style has been changed. I don't know if anybody on the call, everybody said APA, so this doesn't apply to you as much. But if you're using a citation style that requires journal abbreviations, um, then you're going to want to add the journal's term list. So this is on the guide as well. If you do use a citation style that does require that, I do highly recommend adding the journal's term list because it will switch from the full title name to the abbreviated title automatically with a click of a button instead of you having to edit every single title. So if you're searching PubMed, the references come in abbreviated. So if you do that journal's term list and you're using APA, it will automatically write out the entire title. So I do have instructions for that on the guide as well. But I don't want to take more time from Ramses, so I'm gonna switch it to him. Before we do, are there any questions about adding stuff into EndNote, groups, adding PDFs, um, duplicates, anything like that?
Um, Daisy, I think, so I'm trying to do EndNote while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I did the duplicate references, so it opens up a window and I already chose like the duplicates.
Yeah.
So now I have a window open and it says duplicate references.
Mm-hmm.
But now how do I make them go away? Like those are the duplicates. Like it's
Right.
listed the same reference twice, so I don't know if it's just because I clicked it twice and so I trashed it twice.
I think that no, it should be it's in your trash as well.
A ver. Actually, no, maybe I just need to re-choose it.
Right. Right. You
Okay.
might have to re-choose. Yeah, sometimes also if now I don't have any duplicates in here, but actually let me just see if I can move them back in here. So I can
Okay, so when I click it,
yeah.
let me right click it. Hold on. Right click. It just gives me like all the reference stuff,
So
new
is it
reference.
side by side? Like does it a
There's
pop-up
one
window?
I wish I could send you my screenshot. But that's okay. I can like email you maybe. So
Okay,
my
yeah,
only other
perfect.
question
Mm-hmm.
that might be a simpler question is my windows, I'm missing that window on the side, the third one. Like I
This one
can't
right
alter
here?
my view. So the one where you have the article on the right where the AI pops up,
Mm-hmm.
that view does not exist. I mean, I'm sure it exists, but
And
I don't see it.
you have a PC?
Yeah. And a
Okay.
new one, like I upgraded this, I downloaded it, like it's all,
Is it split horizontally?
it
Maybe?
it looks exactly like yours. Like that's what I'm
Okay.
looking at, what I'm seeing with you right now. So I can't, so now you only see, now see that I don't have.
Right. Did you select a reference? Because if I don't select a reference,
Let me make this
then I
window
wouldn't
go
see
away.
one. Yeah.
Right up there. Okay. So I have to select a reference to see the third window.
Yeah,
You're
not
right. Sorry. You're right.
yeah, don't double click it, just single click. Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
got it. Sorry. Okay, that's it.
Perfect. No, of course. Yeah, no, thank you. Yep. It's a little finicky sometimes. All right. So let me switch stop share so that Ramses can take it back up.
Okay. And we are back. Why is this here? Wait 1 second, please. Okay, so using references in Word or cite as you write. So when you install EndNote, the EndNote toolbar will automatically appear here. So this is my Word document, and the EndNote bar appears here. Just make sure when you are downloading EndNote that any Microsoft programs are, off or not being used. Otherwise, EndNote will not let you download it. So actually, there's a lot of things you could do here. Just the great, symmetry or syncretism between Word and EndNote. So, for example, you can go through the back and forth. If you go to End, from here, this is the EndNote tab. If you click on go to EndNote, it sort of automatically takes you, back and forth. It's sort of an easy way to do it. Now, as far as citing your sources, there's different ways that you can do it. For example, the simplest one would be, let's say you're trying to cite a source here. If you go to EndNote, you can find the source that it is that you want to use to quote, and then you just click on the quotation marks, and it automatically does it for you. Okay, and the good thing is it actually starts building a bibliography at the same time that you start doing your in-text citations. Now, another way that you can do it is by going through the insert citation. So for example, let's say I wanted to insert a different citation. You always put the cursor where you want the citation to go. I can go here to insert citation, and it opens this little window here. And here it actually allows you to search for the citation either by, using the author's last name or using, any keywords from the title. In this case, I'm just going to search the author, in this case, Marsili. You click on find, and it finds the articles that are, authored by this prestigious author right here. Now you go to insert citation, and you could insert or include or exclude author, insert by year or exclude year, insert in bibliography only. So let's just do regular insert. As you can see, it automatically inserts it, your in-text citation, and also it keeps adding to the bibliography. Now, for example, you also have the option to, as I was saying here, I'm going to slow down a little bit, but you have the options to insert and display as only the author and year. You could exclude the author. You could exclude the year. So you have, in case you have one of those, according to type of sentences, then you could just include the author. Once again, I'm just doing the same one just to show you. And boom, it includes the citation. And since I know I'm using same citation twice, but it knows it only includes it and only includes it once. Now, if you want to do multiple citations, all you could do is just go back to, let's see, let me pick a place where I want to add a citation, just a random place here. You can go to EndNote. You can find, 2 citations. You could just, just shift an arrow together. You put them together. Once again, click here on the little quotation icon, and boom, it adds them together. Once again, you're building your bibliography. Just a little jump, just in case. I have it set at APA 7th edition here, which is the one that most, if not all of you are using. But if by any chance, you want to change it all of a sudden to say to like AMA or JAMA, it automatically does it. So it changes both your in-text, the way your in-text citations do, and the way your bibliographic page looks, just in case one of the things happens like it happens to me quite a bit, where I don't really pay attention at first, and then I think I've ruined it, but I actually haven't. So because you're able to change it back and forth. So I'm just gonna, go again to APA 7th edition. Now, sometimes there are some, citations where you want to add the page. So you could always just sort of, for example, highlight, let me see, let's find let's highlight a citation. And you could always go and oh, sorry. You can edit and manage citations. And for example, in this citations, you could add, your page number. So let's just say I found this on page 2. Then you click OK. And as you can see, it changes it right here to page 2. So you can, edit citations as you go. Now, one of the new features in EndNote 2025 is that you can, cite directly from a PDF. So in a Word document, the way you do that, you make sure, once again, your cursor is where you want it to be. In case I'm just, this case, I'm just going to put it a little bit here so it doesn't make, so it's not too crowded. Then you can go to EndNote. So I can go to EndNote, find, let's say, the article that I'm trying to quote. Here's the, that has a PDF. I can click here. You're opening the PDF still within EndNote. Then, you can quote, for example, the line or the sentence that you want to quote or the few words. And then you just click on, once again, on the little quotation marks and I take it. Okay, and here it is. Actually, let me just separate it so it makes a little more sense visually. But here it is. Here is the fully quoted, statement from the PDF and the quotation, the in-text citation, and the bibliography entry has been added automatically. Okay. As far as editing citations and being able to sync them together, I know Daisy was talking about, the way you can edit your citations. And, if I were to change anything here, I don't know, let me just, just to make any sort of changes. If I go then back to update citations and bibliography, then whatever changes were made in EndNote will then be made in the citation. So you have a way to sort of, once again, sync them together, as you make some edits. Now,
if I may, Ramses, I just want to reiterate that if you have to change anything, don't change it in the Word document, change it in EndNote, and then update the citations and bibliography. Make sure that that's how you do that.
Yes, the other way, it's a real headache and almost impossible. So yes, please always update everything first on EndNote and then, update it into your Word document. Now, also, EndNote can be used to edit and, include your citations in Google Docs and Microsoft Word Online. So I'm going to show you just a couple of examples here of, let me bring this over. So for example, you have Microsoft Online. Now, the way that you get, that you can acquire EndNote once you have, your account is from the home page. I mean, from the home icon here, if you click on the little umlaut and you scroll all the way down, you can go to add-ins. And then from here, then you can get, EndNote. It will ask you to, log in using your whatever email address and password you use for your regular EndNotes. In this case, I've already done it, so all I have to go to then is go to References and then click on EndNotes. And when I do that, it brings up my my regular EndNote. Of course, I had already logged in. It still takes a little bit of time, but all your reference eventually will appear. It might take a few minutes, but it works, essentially the same. Let's just give it a second here. So sometimes it does take a little bit. Also, while this is is getting populated. Oh, here we are. Okay, so here are all my references. I can search references here by either title, author, or year. So for example, I'm still looking for, anything I know this is one of my references. I want to add it here. Then you could just insert the citation. You also have, well, let me insert the citation. So there it is added. You can also change your, APA, look at whatever citation you look. You can also manage the citations, if you need to update or do anything else. So citations are updated. It's added into the reference list, so on and so forth. It doesn't have the, as, many functions as through regular Microsoft Word document, but you can still work with it. It also does the same thing with Google Docs. Now, to get to the EndNote add-in, you will go to, in Google Docs, you will go to extensions, then add-ons, get add-ons, and once it's all populated, then you can do a search for EndNote. I already have EndNote, so when I go to extensions, I just have to go to EndNote site while you write, open, and eventually it will populate itself. I know Google Docs today has been giving me a little bit of trouble populating all of my citations. I think we might be here for a while if we wait for it, Daisy.
That's okay. And just a reminder that when you do add this to Google Docs, it's going to prompt you to log into your EndNote Online account. So that's the way it works in these shared or online documents.
But yes, but today it's giving me a little bit, it's being a little bit slow. I think I think about cover setup, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna send it back to Daisy now.
Right. And then so the last little piece is collaboration. So everyone, if you do share a group with, so there's two things you can do if you want to share references with somebody. So let me share again my screen. And okay, so if you, it's okay, it's okay. If you do want to share references with somebody else, let's say you're working on a project together, you can do two things. You can share your entire library with them. I believe if you go to File, is it here? Let me see, or is it Library? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we don't typically recommend this as often. And I'll explain why in just, share. So you can share your entire library with somebody. It does have to be synced to the online account, as I mentioned before. Now, the downside of that is that someone else will have access to your library and you can only back up one library to the EndNote Online account. So like right now, it gave me that little message. Do you want to sync another library? It would just merge all my libraries or the one I have open plus the one on the cloud. So if you're sharing with somebody, you can share the library. It's a lot better as far as the shared documents, the Google Docs and everything, but then only one library can be backed up to the cloud. The other option you have is to share a group of references with somebody. So if you want, let's say I wanted to share this group of diabetes references with Ramses, you could just right click and then, I think it's because I can't share groups. That has to be like an individual group. Sorry. So here, right click, share group. Yeah, I don't have, this is my demo library, so it's not synced, but it's going to ask, it's going to have like a little pop-up and it's going to say, enter in the email of the person you want to share with, what the permissions are, read and write. And then the person is going to receive an email that looks like this, right? So I shared a library with Ramses and he got an email that look like this, right? So you're the sharee, right? The sharer is the one that's sharing the group. Okay. When you share groups though, this is what it will look like for you, right? So this is Ramses's library and groups shared by others. So you can see any of the groups that someone else has shared with them. This is the one that I shared with him. And for him to access it, he's going to have to click on the link. And that's, again, the downside of this, because now you have to go into EndNote Online Classic, like I mentioned in the beginning, in order to see the groups shared by other people. So then here, you can add references here as the sharee. The sharer can add it to their EndNote desktop, but everybody can kind of see the same references. When you're in a Word document, not a shared one, you can, ask it to pull from these shared groups as well. So we wanted to just mention it, but if you are going to collaborate with somebody using EndNote, please set up a consultation with us so that we can walk you through it and find the best option for your group, because it can be a little bit dicey there. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. And yeah, there's that where the references will be for that shared group. Okay, so we've kind of covered what we wanted to cover. As you can tell, it's a lot. We always want to keep this under an hour, and it never happens because there's so much, and there's so many other features that we didn't cover that EndNote just has a lot of really wonderful things. But we do have that EndNote guide that has the steps and all the things we talked about today. Their customer support is fantastic and very responsive. EndNote also has some really great videos online. Their forums are great. Like, for example, the question I was asked earlier about the CDC thing, I've been searching that on the side, and they do have some options for that. And of course, you can always contact the library if you have any questions or need help, or we can set up a time to meet and we can go through your library and figure it out. So that first email is for FIU Libraries. The second email is for the medical library. So any questions? Or Ramses, if I missed anything, because I kind of went through the groups a little quick. Okay. So, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to stick around in case you have any other questions, but we'll stop the recording in case you have a specific question. But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.